check. Okay, here we are. Bill Murphy here, ready to show you a little demo on how to make a wave pattern in Adobe Illustrator. It's quite fun. Lots of different uses. You can be all kinds of creative. This is the header I created for my YouTube page. If you want to learn anything about me, go to right here, billmurphy.ca, and there's links to everything I'm involved in. Lots of different websites like purplealien.net, my pro site, things I'm always working on and updating. And, I'm an Illustrator graphic designer, and I'm going to share a little bit of my knowledge in Adobe Illustrator. If there's anything you want to learn or you're having trouble understanding, we can try and learn together. If I don't know it, if I do know it, I'll share what I do know. Leave notes and comments in the video or where I post the video in my blog as well. Blog's probably the best place, but you can leave notes and comments in YouTube as well, of course. So what you see here is what I'm going to try and recreate for you guys. So we'll start. You should have a basic understanding of Adobe Illustrator. This is Adobe Illustrator CC Creative Cloud 2014. They just updated it recently, maybe a month now, a little less, but Creative Cloud, you should be able to do this in that. And you should be able to do most of this tutorial, but you might lose some of the effects and some of the able to edit it later. But overall, most of this should work in older versions of Illustrator. I'll try and comment where I can. So we'll go to new file, and it's going to be for the web, and we'll do, this is just the dimensions recommended for the header, but it's actually quite a big file. You could do any size you want, obviously. 0. This looks good. You see a big white page. Pardon me. And now I will go to the layers palette. You see here on the right. Layers are very helpful in Illustrator. Make a new layer. We'll call it background. And I will drag it to the background. Layers stack on top of each other. And I will draw a box on this layer. And over on my left-hand side, you can see my swatches. These palettes you can set up, like you can drag them out, move them anywhere you want. Illustrator is really great for that, setting things up all kinds of different ways. But I'm going to make this black fill, and then you can see here my stroke, and I will make the stroke nothing. Doesn't really matter in this case, but this is the stroke of the object, how thick the outline, the border of the object is. And there's stroke effects and all kinds of fun stuff with that. I did stroke in my last lesson, and you can find that on my blog as well. Let's go to the layers, and I will lock this layer. That's one advantage of doing things on layers. And if I had multiple sections in this layer, you can see by this little triangle they would show up. I can also turn the layer visibility on and off. It doesn't mean the layer disappears. It just means the ability to see it or click on it. It will be disappeared. It's great for temporarily removing layers as you're working on things. It's a good idea to always name your layers. We don't always do it, but it helps. Call this wave. And just zoom out a little bit, because I like to have a little bit of a border. So when I'm working, I'll be able to see a little bit better of what I'm working on. I'm using a Wacom touch monitor. What is it? Wacom Cintiq HD Touch. It's a great tool, but it's not necessary for this lesson. You could use any of the Wacom tablets, any tablet really, or even a mouse. You know, there's some extra steps, and Maybe be a little more careful when you're drawing, but tablet is a really good tool to have. You just could use even a basic tablet, even a bamboo, Wacom bamboo. I mean, they're not as high quality, but they're around $100. So uh, really good tool. So on the left-hand side here, I really love the new pencil tool, as you'll see from my last demo. And I'm going to draw a pretty good wavy line to make this wave effect. Command Z to undo it. I'm going to put more wave in it. Yeah, I like that. And within this pencil tool, you can hold down, you can go to Smooth tool and redraw some of the lines, help re-guide what you're drawing. If you don't like some of the pattern, you can even use the direct selection tool, move some of the points around, move how the points curve by these handles. I'll undo that. I really like it the way it is. So once we have that, then I'm going to use the pencil tool again. Hold down, go to pencil tool. So it's like a sub pencil tool. There's like 3 tools in there. Go to the main pencil tool. I'm going to do another one, but a little less wave on it. Yeah, that's nice. And what you're going to see is right now it doesn't have any fill or any stroke on it. But we'll use nice, we could do any color, but let's do a nice orange color. And you can see up here the stroke is 1 point. You can also see on the right hand side there's the stroke, 1 point. But I'm going to grab, I can just drag and sort of select my line by just dragging from the edge and off. You can also just sort of find it, click on it. If you use the white selection, it will select just points. And if you hold down Shift and select another point and another point, you can see how they're selected. See how the other square boxes are white dots because they're not selected. But in my case, I use the selection tool, not the direct selection tool, because I want to make sure I get the whole line. And then I'll give it a stroke of 1 and orange. Same as this one. And now I'll use that same selection tool and select both lines. And down here you'll see the blend tool. Click on that. I'll hover over my very end point. Make sure you'll see it change to black, my little cursor. And I select it when it's black, and then I go down to the next line, select it when it's black. You'll see it blend from one line to the other. Very cool effect. Lots of different things you can do with this. Now, if I double tap on the blend tool, it brings up the sort of menu, and it's got specific steps in there, but you can also do smooth, preview that. You can have different orientation, how the blend will bend, like this one. And you can also do specific distance. So like every 4 pixels, it'll draw one. Meaning if you move some of these line segments around, the lines will not space out more. Every 4 pixels you'll have it. It's kind of crazy. If you did something like this, if you have a good computer system, it'll work, but you can start to tax a computer system by putting all kinds of weird gradients and effects on things. But I mean, it still works. You just have to be patient, and sometimes it'll tax your system. But the blend tool is not so bad. It works pretty good. Like if I put every 20 pixels, looks pretty good. But instead, I'm going to use steps and do 15 and go OK. If you look at this tool, you can also see the direct selection possibly, that I can modify the lines and it'll reblend them. I select 2 of these, move it down, reblends it. And what really creates for good effects is, there I got 3 points selected, and I drag off the other line, get some neat effects by overlapping. Maybe here I'll grab, deselect that one. You see how I have these 3, 4 points there? Do this, Get some really neat effects. Almost like I think it was called Spirograph tool when you were kids. You can really have some fun with it. Undo, which is Command Z on my Mac. I believe it's Alt or Option Z on PC, but it's pretty easy to look up. Undo. So now that we have that, I'm going to do another wavy line at the bottom. Try and blend that out. So we'll go here to my pencil tool. I'm going to do a pretty good wavy line. No, that's pretty good. I like that. Use the direct selection tool. And when I did it, I held Shift and Option, so it selects the whole line. And again, select the whole line. Go to my blend tool. Wait for it to turn black as I click this endpoint. And then down here, and it blends right in. So now you blend in 3 stages, and it looks pretty good. Yeah, I'm liking that. Now, when you start to get multiple blends, you end up getting this like a blend line in the middle, and you can use direct selection or regular selection, and just select the line, not the line work that you did, like the line for the blend. You can actually move how it blends around. That's pretty neat. And it uses just like all the tool effects, so I can make it softer by doing that, or harder edge on it. Even going like that, creating a neat effect. Kind of like the soft one, like that. Really neat. Up a bit. Some of these pieces around. Go to my direct select. It's kind of coming back in on itself. It's a bit much. Pull that out a bit, maybe. It's kind of nice. I like that. Now we're going to take it another step further. As cool as this looks, I'm going to select the middle line. Pardon me. And on the right hand side, I'll go to my stroke. And not only is it going to blend from one wavy line to the middle wavy line to the bottom wavy line, this middle one I'm going to increase to 10 points on my stroke. And you'll see here this other line is only 1 point, so it'll blend out from a 10 to a 1. But because there's 15 line segments in between there, each line in between, it does the math for you. You don't have to draw each individual line. Very cool. Now we're going to even go a step further again. Grab this first, grab the whole thing, squish it in a bit, right to there. Squish that like that, like it. Great. So now I'm going to select just the 2 outer lines, and on the right hand side you'll see transparency. Click on that and change that to 0. So it's not only going to blend out the thickness of the line, it's also going to blend out how see-through the line is, how much transparency will be, so you can see whatever's behind it. In this case, black background. Really nice. Blends really nice into that black background. I might even try, I'm going to use a rotate tool, cancel, show you there where it is. I can just select anywhere. Well, first I'll go black, make sure I have the whole thing selected. Select my rotate tool, and I can just select anywhere and grab it. And if I hold shift, it'll snap to like 45-degree increments. wanted to see if I like this way better. They're both pretty interesting. Doesn't really matter, I guess. Yeah, I like the original. But you can see how you can easily manipulate with this tool. Pardon me. So now I'm going to take this, and just underneath here you'll see appearance. Appearance, I think. No, it is. There's a different tool. Transparency. And it's not just one line segment above, one line segment below. I'm going to make the whole thing transparent. So the whole thing I'm going to do at 25. So it looks a little bit faded out, but I'm going to hit Command C, which will copy my object, and Command F, which will paste in front. But because it's 25% on 25%, it has still transparency, but it looks a lot darker. But what I do is I grab this front one, and as I pull up on that handle point, it's scaling it. And if I hold Option, it scales both sides proportionately, so it'll keep it centered. And I'll go maybe about halfway, or a little more than halfway, and it starts to overlap all the line effects. It starts to create an interesting effect on top of what already was an interesting effect. But I like to make this a little bit darker, so we'll go 35 instead of 25. Just like a little bit darker, maybe even go 40. 40 looks good. So now I'm going to do this one more time. I don't want the full one, I just want the new scaled one that's more center. So Command C, Command F, paste in front. And just a little tip, if you Command B, it pastes in back. But the best part about them is it pastes in the exact place you copied it from. If I just hit Command V, which is paste, it just puts it arbitrarily anywhere. Delete that. So now we'll go here, select that last one we have, scale it up, hold Option so it scales proportionately, about halfway, a little more than, or a little less than halfway. See how that looks. And I'm going to go 60. Let's take a look at that. I like it. 60 might be a little bit much. Let's go 50. Because as they overlap, they're creating a darkness at the same time. And they all fade out on the top and bottom as the blend tool is doing its job. I think this looks really good. I might take the whole thing and scale it down. Hold Option. It looks pretty good. Now if we go to our layers, just to see, you can see the 3 blended waves set up, and I can use the eyedropper tool to turn them on and off as I see fit. It's really good. I love layers. And you can also lock layers, so now I can't select anything. Or maybe I just want to select the middle blend. I don't have to move something out of the way to be able to select it. You can also select anything that's on a layer. In this case, we pretty much only have one object. You can look here by opening it up. You can see the different paths. But if I select just beside the right on the layer, it'll select everything on that layer. In this case, we pretty much only have the one object. But if I had multiple things drawn and you want to select everything on that one layer, that's a quick way to do it. You can unlock them all, or just lock them like that, and you can see it lock. Don't need to lock it though. Looks pretty good. I'll go pick up my logo here, make a new layer, logo, V. Up here at the top, I'll use my alignment tools, which is set to artboard. I'll center everything. Maybe I'll select these and do the same. And I think that looks pretty good. Maybe make this a bit bigger. And I'm just gonna move it up. Move this down. Squish it a bit. Command 0 will center my entire artboard within my window frame. Nice and big. Get a good look at artwork. Very cool effects. Really cool. Let's try something. Turn that off, turn that off. Try and do another one. Something I was thinking of. Let's do a new layer. Let's do it in violet. Lock these other layers. Do a wavy line. And then take that wavy line and stroke it. Let's do blue this time. Light blue. What kind of blue? And then put a stroke on it. 1, how about 3? Now I'm going to go Command C, Command Front, and then on the left hand side, I'm going to hold it down to get the sub menu, and I got a reflect tool. If I double tap that, I'm going to reflect it not along the horizontal axis, along the vertical axis. Go OK there. Then I'm going to use the blend tool. Oops. Select blend tool. Back to black. More or less steps depending on what we want. And you can really create some cool effects. You can change it up by just moving it. Really cool effects. You can put blends on it. You can do all kinds of stuff. Thought this would be a good idea. I like the way this kind of goes, so maybe bring this down. Try and do the same on both sides. That's why I use the reflect, so they look exactly the same, but you get the point here. That looks pretty good. I like it. Could even blend it out. Maybe put transparency on this one. Wow. Pretty interesting effects. So I hope you enjoyed this lesson. If you have any questions or concerns, please, you can find me at billmurphy.ca or leave comments in my blog or on the YouTube site. I'm trying to do more videos. If you have suggestions for topics, let me know. InDesign, Illustrator, or Photoshop. You can do any Adobe project, and if I don't know the answer, I'll still try and figure it out. Love to learn new things. We can all learn together. And if I don't know, I'll try and push you to places that will know, or maybe even have guest speakers or something. But we'll do our best. Try and learn together. Hope you enjoyed it. billmurphy.ca. Talk to you soon.